Hi all and welcome back. We'll be starting our next session from Pune chapter, which is on demystifying the role of a release train engineer by Rohit Bansal. He's a vice president at leading investment bank. Before starting on to the session, I would thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. It is a leading consulting and training service provider helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more information, visit www.innovationroots.com. I would also like to thank our sponsor, Agile, which is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprise can use Agile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, Less, and more. You can try out Agile for free up to 20 users for 30 days by signing up at agile.io or reach out to us for any enquiries or exclusive product demo. Check out the Agile page on Agile Network India website for more information. Here are some quick do's and don'ts for the participants. Join the event 5 minutes before the start time. Use high quality speakers or headphones for better sound quality. Please keep your microphones muted and videos disabled as this may cause disturbance and bandwidth issue. Questions will be taken via the chat box. Please enter your questions in the chat box. At the end of the session, the facilitator or the moderator will help and read out few questions to the speaker as per the time available. I request all the participants to fill in the feedback forms after the event to help us understand more about the event management. We appreciate your cooperation. With this, I would like to call upon Prashant Gulwadi, who will be facilitating this session.
So I welcome everyone to the second session of today. The Pune chapter is today presenting a session on the release train engineer, a very popular role in the scaled agile framework. We have with us Rohit Bansal, a senior leader from one of the investment banks in Pune. Some of us may be using scaled framework, some of us maybe not. Some of us are already using this role in our own connotations. So the next 40 minutes or so, we'll have Rohit talk about what is the RTE role all about, what it is not, what does it take to become one, and how to become successful with it. So with this, I hand over to Rohit. Rohit, take it away, please. Good luck, Rohit.
Thank you, Prashant and Nupur. Hi, everyone. Let me start. And today, as Prashant said, I am going to focus demystifying the role of release train engineering. So before I start, quickly my introduction. I'm a release train engineer, safe program consultant, agile coach, mentor, and trainer. My key interest is helping organization in achieving business agility, improving flow, integration management, and nurturing people. I'm working as a vice president with one of the leading investment bank, and I bring a rich experience of 2 decades in all phases of STLC. From last few years, I'm engaged in agile transformation for the investment bank. Quick disclaimer, views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this session and presentation belong solely to me in a personal capacity and not necessarily to my employer and organization. Similarly, these are based on my learnings, experience, as well as knowledge gathered through publicly available material on the internet. I am also not here to endorse and promote any organization, committee, product, or person through this session. So quickly, what I'm going to cover, I would talk about why we need RT, some myth buster about RT role, collaboration and partnership with different roles, journey of a RT, coach in execution, and key takeaways. Before I start, may I invite you and on chat you can respond. How many of you playing a role of RT in this current audience? And second, are you aware of SAFE or following SAFE as a framework in your organization? That would help me to understand, yes, to relate to kind of level I need to go. So please, if you could respond on chat. Thanks, Mamta. Uh, Good. So you are already a safe agilist. Okay. Yeah. So my question is, first is, if you are playing a RT role, you can mention it. Or if you are aware of safe framework, then you can mention it, please, on chat. Okay. Let me move forward. Mamta and apps and yes, few people responded. Then Daniel. Okay, good. And Priyank, yes, certainly. Let me move forward. So why we need RT? Yeah, so RT first of all is a very important program level senior role to that helps to bring a culture of mutual respect, appreciation, speak up, relentless improvement, which is essential for an organization's success. And so if you look at any organization in the world, if they have a great culture, they have a kind of innovation and a relentless improvement culture, then we will find those organization is successful. So RT play a role there to help to create that culture. A role which promotes sustainable solution and product with inbuilt quality. Yeah, so that's another aspect where RT is going to help. Um, Ensuring this inbuilt quality practices is being followed. It's being adopted across teams and yes, help in creating a sustainable solution or product for the organization. This role looks at strategically, are we organized right to deliver value to the customer in sustainable and shortest possible lead time? So what it means, looking at organization structure, look at how work flows and try to understand what needs to happen, what needs to change to improve the flow, to reorganize people if required, so that we are, as an organization, we are able to deliver value to the customer in sustainable and shortest possible time. A role which connects the dots, remove silos, and bring right stakeholder to common forum. Yeah, so again, this is another very important aspect. RT work across the organization, across different roles, has to remove silos that may happen in different department and different people, and bring the right stakeholder to common forum to help the organization achieving business agility. And finally, a role which helps people to do the right thing. Yeah, so for me, these are the main important aspect for which any organization need a RT if they are adopting safe or any equivalent thing which is on a scaled framework. So what is a RT? So RT is a true leader and servant leader. Yeah, so we are going to cover this more, but coach in execution. So RT not only plays a role of coach, but he or she also ensures yes, organization is moving in right direction to deliver value to the customer in shortest and sustainable lead time. RT is a chief scrum master of an art. So again, agile release train is a term, a virtual organization of 50 to 125 people, where if you relate to scrum, so somewhere between 5 to 12 feature teams work in art together towards common objective. And RT works as a chief scrum master, helping rest of the scrum master and team of team to move towards right direction. Manage and optimize the flow of value through the art. Yeah, so that's another very important aspect. Uh, as a RT, person need to look at flow, uh, manage the flow, and any optimization is needed, then that needs to be happen to achieve better value for the organization. Facilitator of relentless improvement for an art. So as a RT, it's a person responsibility is focusing on relentless improvement, how people can become better version of themselves, how team can become better, how team of team can become better. Yes, so it's looking at some of the important key milestones, reflecting and identifying the actions and encouraging team to understand importance of it. And what is true leader and servant leader? Yeah, so some of the important quality which is needed and we are going to cover, and that's a very important aspect for RT. What are the role which conflict with the RT role to an extent? Yeah, so delivery manager and program manager. Why there's a conflict? Because these roles also play a very important role at program level. And with earlier waterfall, these are the two prominent roles in any organization. But with the RT role, with the after adoption of SAFe, it brings same aspects, but they focus RT focus more on kind of achieving the final outcome, helping in relentless improvement using a kind of servant leadership model. And so as a RT would not focus just on delivery or achieving particular planned objective, but looking at long-term sustainable solution. How we can strategically look at the organization. What are the changes needs to happen? Yeah, so some of those aspects that differentiate RT from delivery manager and program manager for me. But if I look at who are the right people, if as a any organization who are going in organization which are adopting SAFe, these are the probably two role which could be important role, and they can gradually move to RT role with the just change in kind of mindset to a bit. Yes, having that servant leadership aspect and looking at some other aspects, and then these are the people can easily move to RT role. And certainly there could be other roles also, like a senior scrum master or sometime technical release manager. Yeah, these are the other people who can gradually shift to RT role if support being provided. What is not an RT? So sometimes people just feel RT is facilitator of all program and art level events. That's the person's main responsibility and nothing else. Yeah, so that's not the case. As I discussed, there are many aspects which needs to happen, and yes, RT do much more than that. And at some places, everything else comes to the RT. So if they have a product management role, architect role, and other technical aspects, and then sometimes people start treating yes as a kind of for everything else kind of dumping ground. And so that's also not a case, and I would like to clarify it here. So before I move on, may I ask, as per you, what are the other roles where RT interact on regular basis? If you could put on chat, please. Anybody aware what are other important role where RT interacts? Okay, thanks, Prashant. Clients, certainly. Okay, let me move on. So if we look at this slide here, so uh, RT interacts with product management group and business owners. Yeah, so business owner is generally your client or maybe just very closely working to your end client. Yeah, so how RT interact with these two roles? Yeah, so with product management, ensuring we have a roadmap for the art or agile release train. We have a backlog prepared on time, and backlog has a right balance for between regular features, business features, and technical improvement features. Yeah, so that's a few aspect. And similarly, during execution, RT interact with the product management group to understand, yes, if there are a risk which based on that any adjustments needs to happen. Yeah, so when I interact with product management group, again this is a bigger group. Yeah, so you have a product manager and maybe multiple product managers sometime, and then you have a many product owners. Yeah, so that interaction is very important on a regular basis. Second is business owners. So business owner again, quite very important stakeholder, and they again help in terms of uh, RT needs to help sometime. Yes, sometimes they may not be aware of your some of the practices being followed, why it's happening, and context. Yeah, so RT as a coach certainly can help business owner explain some of those aspects, context, why some of those things happening, why technical improvements are important. Yeah. Similarly, engaging them during PI planning, ensuring yes they are present to the team, and yes, along with product management. So that generally helps in successful um, uh, execution of PI planning. Uh, Other places during execution, again, whenever risk is happening, along with product management, business owners should be aware. Yeah? So some of the matrices or reports being prepared, that should be visible to business owners, because finally they are sponsoring your value stream or your program. Second, other aspect, if you look at architecture, engineering, or CTO team, yes. So these roles again important from architecture roadmap perspective or engineering practices perspective and adopting new technology, and that's where ensuring technical excellence being followed in the team of team level or agile release train level. Interaction is happening. So I keep on interacting with these groups on regular basis when we any release happens and when there are issues. Yes, so then I go talk to them, have a retrospective arrange, and then try to understand what are the improvement actions, and something could be strategic that it should go in backlog for a strategic solution, and something should come immediately, yes, to stabilize our production environment. Yeah, so that's where interaction is important. Similarly, when going into PI planning, before PI planning, understanding improvements or technical roadmap being considered, and architect engineering department prioritized working with product management group. Yes, they have a right representation there, so RT ensure that happens. Similarly, when adoption of any new practices is coming, and that's where that engagement or helps, because RT finally helps in some of those adoption practices, working with team level and Scrum masters, yes, and ensuring those practices being understood and adopted. Yes, so helping that facilitation aspect. Agile teams, these are the teams which are working at ground level. So having a regular connect with those teams also important. So as a RT, I meet my Scrum masters, yes, at least once in a week on one-to-one basis, and apart from it, then there's interaction in other events like SOS, yes, Scrum of Scrum, and other places where you will interact with the Scrum Master, and that at agile team level. Yes, so you need to understand as a RT, you need to connect with engineers or agile teams on ground level. Yeah, so I generally try to connect with them every 1 or 2 sprint, yes, on and then try to understand what they are finding it's working, what are the challenges they are seeing at ground level, and as a RT, that gives me a good picture. Yes, so what are the ground level challenges, what are the things that are not surfacing uh, discussion with other people, yes, and then try to help them and engaging other people. So that's another very important aspect. And similarly, keeping people motivated, understanding they understand agile yes, principles and values, and they are following it, and why it is important, and whenever any new change is coming, you need to support agile RT. Yeah? So some of those interaction are very important with agile team. Similarly, when we are going in program increment planning, so at that point of time, understanding people's aspirations. Sometimes people want to specialize in particular technology, or they want to work on particular domain. Yes, so for long term you need to keep that interest in mind and have interaction with the people and help them to align to as per their career interest, as well as what is important for program or agile release train. Yeah, so that I do on regular basis. When I'm talking to the team, I consider some of those aspects. Apart from these three roles, or then another important thing is that you will have other leadership team. Yes, so which is maybe beyond your program or agile release train. It could be at portfolio level or portfolio of portfolio level. Yeah, so um, that's where that sometimes those interaction is important, keeping them informed what is happening, presenting KPIs, presenting the facts, and whenever help is needed, also you should be able to get support. Yeah, so that's where leadership team engagement with leadership team is also important, and there could be other roles like outside your agile release train. It could be some external teams where you have a dependency on central teams. Yes, some of the shared services team, and having that interaction and relationship with these people also important. Yeah, so if you look at RT overall, you as a RT, I'm interacting with all different kind of roles, and some may not be listed here, but these are the some of the prominent categories of roles where you need to interact with them on regular basis. Okay, in your people who mentioned about their safe adoption, or they are aware of safe. So if I ask you, what are the top two challenges you have seen in your organization when using safe or adopting safe? Anyone would like to comment on chat? Okay, thank Mr. RC Goel. Artists should be tracking customer satisfaction level. So any challenges you have seen while adopting or practicing safe in your organization? Anybody would like to comment? Okay, let me start. If anyone wants to add, okay, in brief, scale framework itself as a right choice. Um, yes, thank Prashant. Yes, whenever any organization go towards adoption, certainly taking that decision whether safe is a right framework for them. Yes, and keeping all stakeholder agreed towards that, yeah, in itself a change challenges. Too prescriptive. Yes, sometimes people complain it could be too prescriptive, but for me, I think it's more of a implementation. But yes, safe try to take care of everything, every aspect. Yes, and that's where, yes, keeping abreast with that knowledge base and adopting sometimes challenge could be challenging for some organization. Okay, let me share. So um, I'm just sharing in next few slide my kind of journey as a release train engineer or coach in execution. That's where when I started RT role 3 years back, and I'm in safe adoption in now 6 years now. So somewhere in 2015, first time we use safe in my team. Yes, and what kind of challenges I have seen, and as a RT, what I had done, yes, to overcome those challenges, and some of them still exist, but my efforts are continuing. Yeah. So first thing, and that for me is a challenge when I moved into RT role, adopting mindset of a servant leader. It doesn't mean that I don't have that mindset initially, but scale become quite bigger now. As soon as I become a RT, rather than one team, I am interacting with around 12 teams. Yes, and then you can consider around 120 people. It's just in feature team and then some other roles. Yes, so somewhere between 140 to 150 people you are interacting, and then how you exhibit that behavior, it's very important. Yeah, so what I did first, yeah, so I start actively listening and empathizing with the people. Yes, so I practice on my listening skills and um, how I interact with the people, how I understand their point of view. Yeah, so I need to be more patient there. So I consciously practice it. Enabling people for problem identification and decision making. So one of the challenge that I have seen, yes, so when people come with a problem with you to you, so yes, sometimes it's quite tempting. You have a solution and you want to give them a solution immediately, yes, or you want to make decision for them, but that's not a role as a RT. Yes, so I need to be patient. I need to understand how I can handle or how I can enable my team or people so that they understand problem, also come up with their own solutions and try that, yes, and make decision whether it's right or wrong. Yes, so in long term this is a very effective strategy, because where you are killing single man dependency and you are enabling people at team level and team level so that they can look up to themselves, they can become self organized. Applied system thinking. Yeah, so now when I looking at team level, again this is another important aspect where I need to look at system level thinking. What it means, I need to look at entire system or entire ecosystem to understand if we are trying to make some change, is it right for looking at entire ecosystem, or if there are some process changes happening. Yeah, so look at all those aspects, and not only you are applying that system thinking, you are influencing and helping other people to understand that aspect. Yeah, so that's another uh, thing I intentionally start doing, and it takes practice. Use persuasion rather than authority. Yes, so I need to influence people without using authority. So that I tried. Creating a psychological safe environment. Yeah, so I talked earlier culture and great culture where people can speak up, people are able to make decisions. Yes, so this is another very important aspect where as a RT I need to consciously work, and alone I cannot do it. I would be frank. Yeah, so I need to take help from leadership team, I need to take help from other important roles, and bringing all people together, and then looking at how we can enable people. Yes, how we can have our team level alliance, how we can have our team level alliance, how we treat each other, how we respond to each other. Yes, how we are not being silent when issue is coming, we are speaking up. Yes, so working towards creating that environment is very important, because that's where your team can flourish and start performing in their full potential. Improved my coaching style. Yes, so I taken a help of coaches, yes, so life coaches and other professional coaches in available in my organization. I taken their help, improve my coaching style. I gone through some of the learning material available in my organization's learning platform, and that all helped me. Yes, and then start practicing that. Yes, so because it's a kind of percentage of your coaching style or coaching instance will be higher as soon as you are in this role. You need to use this style more than anything else. Yeah, so that's where I need to consciously put efforts on this. Second challenge. Yeah, so what happened as an organization when we are moving towards achieving business value? Uh, so we are working on business feature, and we are intending to tending to ignore our technical debt, refactoring requirement, or some of the challenge in terms of integration. We start ignoring that, and we just focusing on achieving business value. Yes, and delivering business features, doing a release very regularly. But it ended up in a situation we have a huge technical debt. Yes, our integration become difficult. our releases were infrequent. We are not able to release on time as per yes our commitment to our end users. And also people are struggling to yes resolve or troubleshoot any production issue. They are taking longer. Yes, so overall customer satisfaction level start coming down. Team morale was little down, and then we have investing too much time to doing a small thing. Yes, people are taking longer. Yes, so our lead time or cycle time become quite higher. Yes, and quality also compromised. So this is the situation as a RT I start facing in my train. And what I did first. Yeah, so first of all, accepting the reality, it's important. Yeah, so that we ignore technical improvements over business features over the time. So having that acceptance not only with me, and then taking other stakeholder along with me, and making them realize yes it start happening. Second thing, presented data to stakeholder to prove how it had impacted platform's ability to meet business outcome. Yeah, so I have some stats around cycle time, number of defect leaked in system testing or production, time taken to build our yes integrated build. All those data being presented to our customers and other important stakeholder. Yes, and then we are able to relate to situation. Yeah, so why we are end up in this situation where our integration is higher, we are not able to release, and yes we are taking longer time to respond to any issue that is coming. Yes, and that helped stakeholder to understand yes why technical improvements are important. Yes, so now stakeholder understood importance of investing on technical improvement, and it's not a one time, it's continuous, because as our platform keep on changing, it means we are growing new technical depth if we are not focusing. So I agreed along with other stakeholders and to our business stakeholder that we are going to put 30% of our team's time on technical improvement. Yeah, so always when we go in PI planning, program increment planning, then we have a kind of balance. Yes, and it may again change depending on situation. So when we have this larger technical depth, then we were around 50 to 60% for one or two PI. We agreed to invest more on technique, resolving technical issues, improving our continuous delivery capabilities. Yes, and uh, other implementing other some infra improvements, either upgrading our platforms, their versions. Yeah, so that all we taken care. And then we agreed on continuous basis, we have 30% focus um, or 30% capacity kept for only technical improvements or architecture roadmap item. And lastly, then I also worked with engineering function for better adoption of engineering standard. So what it means, we defined our definition of done. Again, we looked at what is practical, what is achievable in current condition, and then also setting a realistic timeline when we want to improve definition of done. And then having adoption of that definition of done not only at one team level, across all team level. Yes, so having that conversation with the people, showing them importance of definition of done, relating some of the production issue to definition of done, missing gap in definition of done, that all help people to understand context and better adoption of definition of done. Similarly, if any new improvement is being developed, yeah, so either it's a continuous delivery capability, even if it's implemented centrally or by a team of team level, or sorry, one team level, then it's important other people understand, learn that. Yeah, so setting up showcase session or engineering session where engineering yes kind of interacting with each other, so helped in engaged in all those discussions or creating that process, or yes that helped so that we have a wider adoption of engineering standard across the organization. Third challenge, managing waste and systemic issues. So what it means, as I said, like our integration was taking longer than expected. So we encouraged team to record effort spent in impediment or blocker as a waste. Yes, so we start recording everything. We ask team to record every time they spent, which is non-productive thing they need to do unnecessarily, and that is their waste of time. Either they are waiting for something, or they are being blocked or being slowed by something. Yeah, so when we have this data, and then I start visualizing this data, waste data in terms of dashboard, and then having a kind of meeting, regular meeting with the scrum master to review this data on every sprint basis, and then try to understand what team are doing of removing waste which are in their control. Yeah, so waste generally something which is in team control. Either it's upskilling challenges, how to handle environment, or they are looking up some SMEs, or yes, some process issues. So whatever in their control, they should own it. Yeah, so creating that culture where team can start owning waste removal process, and adding that as a kind of one of their sprint goal for next sprint. Yeah, so they pick one or two items from their waste, and pick as a improvement objective, or for their next sprint, that they start doing. Second thing, I try to identify systemic issue out of waste. What is systemic issue? Issue which are larger, which are happening on periodic basis again and again, and where it's we may need help from leadership because it's outside our value stream or agile release stream. Yes, and that's not in our control. Or some systemic issue may be in our control. Yes, and then I explained waste in monetary term. Yes, so putting a dollar value to the waste or effort, yes, being wasted. That draw the attention of senior leadership, and they helped, and then they understand the issues. They yes, start engaging with other senior leadership to resolve some business unit level issues. Yeah, where we need engagement from different business unit, and that helped in kind of creating process as well as quick resolution of systemic issues. And it's not one time, it will keep on happening, so I am keep on doing this work. Last thing, longer lead time, unpredictable in meeting outcome. I already talked about it earlier. So what we did, visualize flow and control work in process. Yeah, so we looked at what are the our WIP. So using cumulative flow diagram and using in system demo. So we start using cumulative flow diagram in system demo, and start showing at art level. Yes, what is our work in progress at team of team level. Similarly, I talk to Scrum Masters, and they also start using CFD, cumulative flow diagram, at their team level retro in between sprint. Yes, and they understand what are the things which are taking longer than expected, where they stuck. Yes, and then they start either recording those waste if it's not there, not being recorded, or at the same time also start looking at how they control their work in process. Yeah, so we ask team to define their WIP limit also, and look at that WIP limit realistically every sprint or every PIS. So if they need to change, so they can change. To improve flow, perform value stream mapping. Yes, so having that understanding, looking at this data, and then performing value stream mapping. And value stream mapping is nothing but looking at entire process flow, and then taking a call, where are the delays happening, yes, and where are the longer time, waiting time, and then focusing on those aspects. If it's need a reorganization or a little bit yes, change in how people operate, and that is planned. Otherwise, yes, if it's some automation opportunity, that's being prioritized for backlog. projected bigger picture, system thinking. Yes, empathy again, because when we bring change again, people are sometime afraid. Yeah, so as a RT or coach, it's your responsibility. You use empathy while implementing yes result from value stream mapping exercise. Okay, it's difficult to implement than yes performing this exercise. Some of the key measures which I trusted, there are many things which you could measure, but my focus was on PI predictability to understand how predictable we are, what we are planning or committing out of that, how much percentage we are able to deliver at team level. Flow matrices like CFD, looking at cycle time, lead time, release throughput, that all important. Health assessment of art to understand, asking some questions as a assessment criteria. I start using comparative agility, and earlier than we have a safe agile, one of the assessment, yes, we are using and asking team to assess on periodic basis. That help to identify conversation that needs to happen and improve some of the points. Lastly, customer satisfaction and NPS score. So I work with product management. Yes. So for us, it's a product management group who is more responsible in interacting with and getting data from customer. Yeah, but ensuring that data is available and we understand what needs to change. Yeah. So these are some of the key measures. Key takeaways. RT is a program level senior role. He's a coach or she's a coach of art, collaborator across art, focus in optimizing flow, relentless improvement. Some of the key challenges could be adopting mindset of a servant leader, growing technical depth, waste management, systemic issues, longer lead time and unpredictability. And finally, it's a lifelong learning and improving coaching stance. Yeah, so some of the images I given a reference which I use from internet for non-commercial purpose. Okay, thank you everyone, and we could go for questions and yeah.
So thank you, Rohit. Uh, Very informative session for us. Those who are playing this role may have got their ideas resonating with you. Those who are looking to perform this role may have get some guidance on how to take it further. We have a few questions here. I'll read them out to you. First question is by Dr. Sri Nagesh. How to measure actual business value delivered on weekly or bi-weekly basis? Kindly share some examples.
Okay. So see, SAFE provides a measure. So what happens when we go in PI planning? And during that, conversation happens on each objective with the business stakeholder and product management group, and try to understand why this objective is important. Yeah, and kind of we have a process where we give business value, which is one out of yes, between 1 to 10 range is used. And similarly, when that objective is being achieved at the end of PI, then we again look at have a conversation and try to understand. Yes, and that's one of the aspect. Yes, because you need to give some time and look at it. But for me, another aspect is like having a system demo, regular system demo, and seeing a working software. So if that is happening on regular basis, and team broken down their objectives feature into storage, and that's being achieved on regular basis, then it certainly for me proves that yes, we are achieving business value. But for long term, you need to wait till end of PI or whenever that entire feature is complete to look at end to end scenario or demo.
Thank you, Rohit. Hope Sri Nagesh is happy with that response. The next question is, how would you compare the suitability and feasibility of an RT role in a captive's IT department versus an IT services company? Views on challenges in either ecosystem would help.
Okay, let me read it if it's there. It's voice was breaking in between. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay.
Okay, how would you compare the suitability and feasibility of an RT role in a captive IT department versus IT service company? Views on challenge in either ecosystem would have. Yeah, so my experience is more in captive IT department than IT services. But yes, I can give both from both point of view. So yes, so see from okay, from captive point of view, because this is your internal operation organization. Yeah, so when and engineering team working with you, agile teams working with you, um, what you need to look at, some of the properties that we talked. Yeah, who would be suitable of for RT role? It could be person with the servant leadership responsibility, person who has a bigger perspective. Yes, so some of the senior role I talked, if person is playing either senior project manager, program manager, uh, release manager, yes, and maybe some senior scrum master handling more than two teams, so those all people generally fit. But what is important, person understand that people aspect, because you need to help and work across different people. Yeah, so that's where I think suitability of RT fits there. But what is the difference between captive and IT? I think in IT, probably finally as a RT, if you are in a IT company and you are going to work as a RT, then finally you are dealing with some clients. Yes, so uh, that management of client, yeah, understanding client expectation is another important aspect. And in safe, in if I look at in my organization, yeah, so we don't have anything like kind of treating people differently if they are working from outside organization and helping us as a partner. Yeah? So we treat everyone equally. So for RT, as a RT, I think it's important wherever you work, you are having a confidence, you are able to handle your stakeholders rightly, you understand your customer expectations, because they may start expecting more of a delivery aspect. Yes, but you need to help and coach them on aspect of relentless improvement, understanding sustainable solution, how you are going to deliver sustainable solution, engineering excellence, and a long term perspective. Yeah, so for me almost same, but with the IT service company, some of the additional thing would come where you need to handle client their expectations, and you are ensuring that you and your people are also treated equally like any other employee of the captive organization.
Thank you, Rohit. We have one more question coming up, just on the verge of the completion of the session. Are captives in India working on only development value streams? Please share your thoughts. Question by Dr. Sri Nagesh.
Yes, again, a very good question. So, if we look at, I will give reference for my organization again. Yes, so we are certainly, I think, focusing on development value stream right now. But at the same time, we are looking at how we are, yes, mapped to a operational value stream or business value stream, which is coming new with the safe latest version. Yes, so. Uh, so certainly, because again, with being a captive, but we have a global presence and we have a kind of important role to play. So certainly, on all those discussions, either even it's a business value stream or operational value stream, people from captive in India are also engaged. Yeah? So there are many people with the responsibility who are engaged and helping or driving that decision, how operational value stream should look like, how operational value stream and value stream are mapped. Yes, so certainly I think for me, scope is increasing, and certainly generally at both places they are playing the role, but certainly development value stream more prominent considering engineering base in India. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit. Dr. Sri Nagesh, hope your queries have been addressed. Looking forward to more questions which you can take offline. So at the end of this session, I would like to thank Rohit Bansal for taking his time out to prepare this content for us and share his experiences and opinions, insights with the community.